The galactic Colosseum of Zephyria Prime had witnessed countless battles across its 3,000-year history. Warriors from every corner of the galaxy had spilled blood on its crystalline floors, their victories and defeats echoing through the vast arena that could hold 2 million spectators. Today, however, something unprecedented was about to unfold. Commander Vexthal of the Dominion fleet stood at the observation deck, his forearms crossed in satisfaction. Below in the preparation chambers, his finest warrior awaited the call to combat. Kralthok the Destroyer, 8 feet of pure muscle, chitinous armor, and razor-sharp claws that could slice through starship hulls. The creature had never known defeat in over 200 battles across 17 different worlds. The humans think they're so clever, Vexthal chittered to his aide. Sending their champion to face our greatest warrior in single combat to determine the fate of their pathetic little blue world. They'll learn today why the Dominion rules this galaxy. The human delegation sat quietly in their assigned viewing box. Ambassador Chen remained stoic, though sweat beaded on her forehead. The terms were clear. If humanity's champion lost, Earth would surrender unconditionally to Dominion rule. If they won, the Dominion would withdraw from human space forever. It was a gamble born of desperation, but humanity had run out of conventional options. The arena floor trembled as blast doors opened on opposite sides. From the eastern gate, Kralthok emerged to thunderous applause from the alien crowd. His roar shook the very foundations of the Colosseum as he raised his massive claws, each one capable of crushing a human skull like an eggshell. Bioluminescent patterns pulsed along his exoskeleton as battle fury coursed through his veins. Then the western gate opened. The crowd fell silent. A single human walked out, average height, unremarkable build, wearing simple gray clothing. No armor, no weapons, no enhanced cybernetics or genetic modifications. Just a middle-aged man with graying hair and tired eyes, carrying what appeared to be an old, leather-bound book. Vexthal's mandibles clicked in confusion. What is this mockery? Where is their warrior? Dr. Marcus Webb stepped into the center of the arena, seemingly oblivious to the massive predator sizing him up from across the crystalline floor. He opened his book, a battered copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare, and began to read quietly to himself. Kralthok's confusion quickly turned to rage. This puny creature dared to ignore him. With a bone-rattling screech, the Gladiator charged across the arena, claws extended, ready to end this farce in seconds. Marcus looked up from his book just as the 8-foot killing machine bore down on him. He didn't flinch. He didn't run. Instead, he did something that had never happened in the history of the Galactic Colosseum. He spoke. To be, or not to be, that is the question, Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly across the arena despite its quiet tone. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Kralthok skidded to a halt mere feet from the human, his claws scraping grooves in the crystal floor. Something in those words, not the meaning which his translator couldn't properly convey, but the cadence, the emotion, the sheer humanity of them, stopped him cold. The crowd watched in stunned silence as Marcus continued Hamlet's soliloquy, never taking his eyes off the massive alien warrior. With each word, something extraordinary happened. Kralthok's battle fury began to ebb, replaced by something the creature had never experienced before. Wonder, for who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely? Marcus's voice rose slightly, and somehow, impossibly, Kralthok understood. Not the words themselves, but the universal truth they carried. The struggle of consciousness against circumstance, the weight of choice, the burden of existence. For the first time in his life, Kralthok was hearing poetry. The alien warrior slowly lowered his claws. His bioluminescent patterns shifted from aggressive red to confused blue to something approaching wonder, a soft golden glow that pulsed, in rhythm with Marcus's words. Marcus finished the soliloquy and closed the book, finally meeting Kralthok's eyes. You've never heard anything like that before, have you? The translator rendered the question, but Kralthok found himself unable to respond. In his species' culture, there were only two modes of communication: commands and challenges. This was something else entirely, something that spoke to a part of him he didn't know existed. "I know what you are," Marcus continued, stepping closer to the towering alien. "A perfect warrior, bred for battle, trained for killing, shaped by a society that values only strength." He held up the book. "But you know what humans value? Stories, dreams, the ability to imagine something better than what is." The crowd began to murmur as Kralthok did something unprecedented. The mighty gladiator sat down, bringing himself to eye level with the human. Marcus smiled and opened the book again. "Let me tell you about Romeo and Juliet. It's about love conquering hate, even in death." As Marcus began to read, something rippled through the crowd. The translator struggled with concepts that had no equivalent in Dominion language. Concepts like sacrifice for others, beauty for its own sake, love that transcended logic. Vexthal watched in horror as his perfect killing machine listened with rapt attention to stories of human kings and lovers, of madness and redemption, of choices made not for survival, but for principle. With each tale, Kralthok's warrior conditioning cracked a little more, revealing something the Dominion had tried to breed out of all their subject species: imagination. Hours passed. The crowd that had come for blood found themselves listening to poetry. Even the most hardened Dominion officers found their thoughts drifting to concepts they'd never considered: mercy, beauty, the possibility of existence beyond mere conquest. When Marcus finally closed the book, Kralthok spoke for the first time in a voice gentle enough for the human to hear. "Teach me more." Vexthal's shriek of rage echoed through the arena, but it was too late. The crowd had heard something they'd never heard before. Stories that didn't end in domination but in understanding. The seed was planted, and across the galaxy, other species began to whisper about the humans who fought not with claws and weapons, but with words that could reshape the very soul. The Dominion withdrew from human space that very day, not because they were defeated in battle, but because they had encountered something far more dangerous than any weapon. They had encountered imagination. And in the depths of space, on ships throughout the Dominion fleet, alien voices began to whisper the opening lines of Hamlet, passing along humanity's greatest weapon: the simple, revolutionary idea that there might be more to existence than mere survival. The human had walked into their strongest arena with nothing but a book, and conquered a galaxy with stories.